What up? What up?
What up, though? What's going on, man?
We in the 200s now.
We in the 200s now, man. Let's go.
Let's
fucking 201, man. Let's go. You guys know the drill. You've been here fucking 200 of them, maybe. Or maybe this is your first time.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is your new favorite pod. You're welcome.
Yo, welcome back, everybody, to the Carpet Footprint Podcast. He is Juan and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit them with a drink of the day.
No, we did a love for the old fashions, but we switched it up a little bit this week compared to the last week. Last week we had that fancy Macallan, which a lot of people get. They feel like that's sacrilegious to use Macallan.
Nah, shit was delicious,
but it was
bro.
amazing. But no, we throw it back to one of our favorites. We did a Mexican old fashioned or tequila old fashioned, if you will. Except we're doing this tequila for the first time, Don Ramon, with the tequila reposado, and we're like fucking almost done with this bottle. This is good, man. So Don Ramon. And then just did it the typical, I think, I would say our traditional old-fashioned recipe, if you will, with the exception of we added this. So in a mixing glass, take an orange wedge, a bada bing cherry, muddle that, add ice, add the 2 ounces of the tequila, add 5 to 6 dashes of orange bitters, 5 to 6 dashes of Angostura bitters, half an ounce of agave syrup, a bar spoon of the bada bing cherry syrup, stir that up real nice, throw it in a rocks glass, and then garnish with an orange peel and a bada bing cherry. And then there you go. It's simple, straight to the point.
And if you don't say, God damn it.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite reaction when you try it first time. You're like, God damn it. I'm like, yes, I got it. I nailed it.
No, it was delicious, man. This is really good, people. So I know it seems like a lot of ingredients. It's really not.
It's really not straightforward. And the old fashions always hit, man. You can't go wrong. So yeah. At this point, we're just like a podcast that drinks old fashions.
I was gonna say, man, I did not feel bad rolling through with the old fashioned.
Yeah,
I did not feel bad at all. This is delicious.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to stick to what you know and what you like and what you know is gonna hit. Especially on a week where there's so much shit going on, where I'm like, the drink's not even gonna be the star of the show this week, man. There's been there are presidential candidates and running backs, or wide receivers and state troopers and all kind of people just trying to make headlines this week, man. So
let's start it off, man. Compliment of the week is I don't even know who we giving it to, but it's basically this whole situation with Tyreek Hill. So those of you who don't know, I'm sure you've seen it, even if you're not a football fan. But Tyreek Hill is a premier wide receiver in the NFL, plays for the Miami Dolphins, and he was pulled over this week and yanked out of his car and handcuffed for basically for speeding. But this thing, the body cam from the police, from the Miami-Dade Police Department, came out pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, kudos to them for being transparent, releasing everything.
Absolutely.
Right away.
And so for most of us, you probably only saw, there's different versions, right? There's like a 3-minute version, a fucking 5-minute version. I actually watched the 27-minute version.
Damn.
It's like I guess the entire body cam thing. And man, I think the reason, it was obviously big, it was big headlines, but the reason why I gave it, or wanted to give it the Carbon Footprint, was because I used this time as a teaching moment for my kids, for my boys.
I was literally just thinking that, this is a good.
Yeah, and what came out of this initially, right, was Tyreek Hill after the game. So he ends up playing in the game. He scores a touchdown, right? Goes into a press conference afterwards. He's asked about it, and he tells this side of the story, or tells his side of the story, which, in retrospect, I look back on that and I go, yo, I don't think he was lying. I think he was telling the version that he remembered, but the version that he remembered was inaccurate.
It was misleading. Like you said, I don't think he was blatantly lying, but it was definitely a version that I'm sure he felt that way at that point in time.
Correct.
And the adrenaline's running and the emotions took over, and it's the version that he felt was true at the time. And then, we all do that. Like, we get that, and then maybe we have time to go back home, and then we sort of calm down, and we think through the scenario, and we're like, maybe,
maybe I could have did this better.
Right. Maybe it wasn't that thing, or maybe they didn't mean it that way, or, whatever. And then, because he certainly changed his tone, and maybe some of that had to do with the fact that we saw then the tape all of it. Like you said, fucking 27, 30 minutes of.
And I did see the latest video from him goes, hey, you know, and I got some, and I don't remember if he said it was family or friends that were police officers that kind of talked to him afterwards and probably set him straight a little bit. But for those of you who have not seen it, he gets and in this 27-minute video, it's good because it actually goes from the beginning. It shows the officers on their bikes just kind of like just waiting, right? They're parked. They're seeing these cars drive by, and then you see this black
McLaren 720S.
I know what it was.
I think it's a 720S. It's a fucking sexy car. Man.
He comes speeding by, right? He's not doing 100 miles an hour, but he's probably doing 60 instead of like the 35, that whatever the speed limit is.
Not for nothing though. You're also in front of the stadium. You have to expect you see something like that in front of, and maybe it's Miami, so you see that all the time.
Yep.
But you gotta expect that it's a player, right? So it's also kind of like a douchebag move for the cops to park like right there and then go.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. There's got to be part of that that's very ego driven. Like I'm gonna catch one of these guys. There's no fucking way that you don't know that's Tyreek Hill when you pull him over.
Dude, so in that 27-minute video, so I'm glad you said that because there's a portion in there where one of the other officers that come up later tells we'll call him the arresting officer at this point. He's like, yo, you know who that is, right? And he goes, no. And this is at the point where he's sitting down on the curb.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know who that is, right? And he goes, no. And he goes, that's the Dolphins like star receiver. So the guy does not know who it is, right? But if you go watch the video and it's like,
I just saw a black guy drive on McLaren.
I knew that shit wasn't right.
I knew that shit was something about it was wrong. I didn't know yet. And the guy, like typical white people. And I know you're gonna say he's got an accent. The officer from the top, he was Cuban more than likely.
Oh, he's definitely Hispanic.
Yeah. No, they're white. But that's why Latinos don't fuck with Cubans. The minute Cubans land in America, they forget anything about. Yeah, they're like, build a wall. You guys there's too many people getting in here. It's so easy. You know how I got here. They're like, you're right. It is. This is a problem. Like, I just floated right up.
I got the early bird special. So no, man. So watching the video, the officer goes up to the window and knocks on the window, and the moment that he rolls his window down, instead of addressing the officer in a at least a semi-polite manner, he immediately goes into, why you gotta knock on my window like that? And he repeats that several times.
Yeah. Right? The arrogance kicks in, the ego kicks in.
Right. And so from there, he gives him his license registration and then rolls his window back up. They tell him to roll it back down. He cracks the window for a little bit. Then they're like, dude, like it's almost like we're asking simple things.
Yeah, you're antagonizing us now. You're being an asshole.
You're being an asshole.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then so they drag him out of the car. They put him face down on the pavement. They handcuff him and then lead him over to the curb. And then they go to sit him down. And then he goes, I just had surgery on my knee, which was probably true. But then you're out there catching touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? So like, but whatever. So but then they, listen. From the officer's standpoint, I think it was excessive. However,
no, the whole ordeal was definitely excessive.
It's excessive.
Yeah.
However, Tyreek Hill is responsible for part of that.
Oh,
like what I'm saying?
He's
like,
not an innocent part of that.
He's definitely not. And this is why the carbon footprint, man. Because I used this opportunity and I showed it to my boys, and they had already seen part of it, and we watched more of it. And I've always told them this, and I use this example to reiterate what I've told them, which is, if you get pulled over, here's what you do: you roll all your fucking windows down, okay, and you keep your hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And I go, here's why: A, you don't know who you're dealing with, right?
Yep.
And police officers deal with, listen, their job is to uphold the law. So by definition, they are dealing with lawbreakers on a consistent basis.
On more times than not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with I don't want to say the shit of society, but you're dealing with lawbreakers on a consistent basis, right? When they are coming up to the car, the one thing that you want them to feel is this person that's driving is not a threat. And the way that you do that is by lowering your fucking window so they can see inside your vehicle. They know you're not a threat, and your hands are on the steering wheel, so they know that you're not reaching down to grab anything to fucking shoot them or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, should it be that way? Maybe not. But again, police officers are human.
I think. Here's the thing: is that like you're saying, like, should it be that way? Sure. I think that if you have any type of like emotional IQ, you have to understand that you're dealing with a human being who, to your point, is used to dealing with shitheads, right? Like with people who are, up to nefarious things. And then you go, their main concern is like, I have to get home today, and they're risking their life, right? And so they're already, and then by the way, humans who are scared and nervous and anxious and all of the above, and who don't know how to handle their emotions maybe well either.
And you don't know what those guys have been through in their careers and the shit that they've had to deal with, man. And so, dude, I've seen it many times when, like I shouldn't say many times because I haven't gotten pulled over a lot, but I've gotten pulled over and I'm looking at my side, like my side view mirror, watching them walk up
with their hand on their holster,
with his hand in his holster, and I remember the first time I saw that, I'm like, fuck, man, like, why does he have his hand in his gun? But over time and
they're
through experience, I go you should, because you know what?
You don't know me.
Yes, right. And I see videos where somebody fucking the driver has his right hand down on his side and pulls out a gun and fucking fires on the officer when he comes to the window. So again, this is why the teaching moment for my boys,
being polite and respectful and understanding the position that they're in. And I think this is sorry, and I didn't mean to
no, you're good.
But I know like you have teenage boys who are just getting into driving and all that, and who are and you hate to make this about race, but again, who are like of a race who's like, hey man, you guys are probably targeted more than others, or have had shittier experiences with law enforcement, right or wrong or indifferent, right? And so you're like, this is how you don't act in that scenario when you get pulled over, right? The other part of me thought, like, I have a teenager who's about to start driving too, and also a teachable moment. But from my perspective, I went, hey, here's what happens if you're not smart. You can either become the cop who's ego tripping like that guy, and who we've all known cops. Like, you think about all the people who became cops when you were in high school, and you just go like, they didn't get the cream of the crop from an intellectual standpoint. And you go, so you either better get your 40 time up, and you could be Tyreek Hill, you could be the ignorant millionaire in that scenario who's doing that shit, or you could be the cop who's also having an ego trip, slamming him on the like on the sidewalk, because it was like pick your dumb. Like, which level of dumb do you want to be? Do you want to be the dumb with a good 40 time, or do you want to be the dumb whose only option was to do that? And he's clearly frustrated. But all jokes aside, I think, to me, like, the biggest thing I got out of it is like, and so first off, Tyreek Hill in the wrong in how he approached that, because to your point, like, that's how I've been pulled over plenty of times, not recently, but just and I fucked up a lot enough to know that, like, hey, the right way to do it. And eventually I got to the point where, like, windows down, dome lights on, hands on my steering wheel, whatever. Right. And then when they were assholes, then I was an asshole back. After that point, if I'm going, bro, I'm doing everything I can to make you comfortable, and if you're a dick now you're just a dick. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dish it back. That doesn't make it right. It's just the attitude that I took.
It's your prerogative.
Yeah. But I also think you have to think about, and we've talked about this ad nauseum on here, about what type of people law enforcement attracts. Like low emotional IQ generally, right? Just like in this case, Tyreek Hill, low emotional IQ. His first response was to be like, don't knock on my window, da, da, da. Like, you got to think that scenario through and go, what is this going to do to get me out of this situation? Or is it going to elevate the situation? I mean, like, a lot of people aren't good at diffusing scenarios, and it's infuriating to me to watch, because I'm going, like, I guess to me, I think about my responses, and then I think about, okay, what's this going to look like 4 sentences from now? And is that response going to get me closer to the end result that I want? Probably not. Me going, hey, don't knock on my window, is probably going to get me to a place of, like, I'm antagonizing them. It's just going to get escalated, right? And so Tyreek Hill didn't have the emotional IQ, or even like just having common sense and common courtesy, and just putting the douchebag away for a little bit, to just go, let me just comply and get the fuck out of here. I have a job to do in an hour or whatever.
Well, here's the other thing, man. Like, does having the fuck you money make you into, because like me and you,
Sure,
but right, so like maybe somebody like me might go, well, fuck, man, I don't want the $200 ticket. Like I'd rather play the game and be respectful and yes sir, no sir, and whatever, in hopes that I don't get a ticket. But if I don't, but if the speeding ticket means zero to me, right, then maybe I'm a different person.
For sure. But to that point, like I don't have fuck you money, but I have. Like I've been in a scenario where I have enough money to where I go the $100 speeding fine or ticket or eating a red light, which
means nothing.
Meaningless, right? And I might be like, bro, just write me. Like I've done this to a police officer where they start giving me the spiel, and I'm like, bro, just write me the ticket. Like I don't need to hear the lecture. I don't, just write me the ticket. Like I just want to go. Just write me the fucking ticket. Like and you know, like I think
how's that fair for you?
I mean, they just get agitated, right? And so now they just take their time because, again, you're dealing with someone who...
You're dealing with a human.
You're dealing with a human being who's now agitated. Again, low emotional IQ, frustrated, probably doesn't want to do this job anyway. Like, bro, you got to think about what you get paid.
I know people that actually like being police officers.
Sure. and I think those people exist. But you also have to think about, like, what that profession attracts in terms of, like, no one looks at what you get paid to be a police officer and goes, oh, I want to do that with my, like, you know, like if you're smart enough, you go, I want to, like, you either have to be an adrenaline junkie, you have to like the confrontation, right? You're not doing it for the money. And so innately that means that most of the people you attract, it's like a last resort, right? You're not attracting the cream of the crop in terms of like intellectuals. And then when you do, those people don't stay as beat police officers for long, right? They want to go be detectives and they want to go do like, and then there are the few, like I said, you and I both know people who are just like it. Yeah, that's just like what they did and they just love it. Yep. And those exist too. But if I go back and I look at like the people I went to high school with and I look at all the ones that became cops, 9 out of 10, you're like, yeah, that checks out, bro. Like you probably didn't have any other option. Like, and then, so you have to think about like those guys and go, okay, you're dealing with an ego, you're dealing with a hothead, you're dealing with that. And then on the flip side, you're dealing with Tyreek Hill, an ego and a hothead.
Sounds like a ball player, right?
Exactly. It's the same person. And then now they're clashing, and then they're in this scenario because they're both wrong. Like Tyreek Hill was an asshole, and then the cop is now going like, well, now they're just slinging dicks at each other because it's like, well, so like to me, the lesson there was like, look, both of these guys were fucking assholes. Like the cop got the like let the authority or wanting to sort of push around his authority get the best of him, right, and handle that fucked up because you can hear the other cops going like, bro. Like, chill out. Like, let's just, you know, even when they're talking to his teammates who pull up, who are like, hey, there's cops who are just like, hey, like, just drive away, bro. Like, we're trying to handle this. And then the other cop's like, no, fuck that. I want to see his life. And now they're turning it into a scenario because, again, like, the ego's gotten the best of them.
But that's the other thing, man. So besides the ego part, it's like, here's the other piece where he's pulled over. Now, another vehicle, right, with ball players. And I can't blame them, sort of rightfully so. They're kind of pulling over to support their teammate, but they pull over in front of them. Another teammate pulls up behind them, and now you got 6'5", 250-pound dudes coming in the scene like, yo, what's going on? And then the police officers are giving them commands like, yo, back up, and they're moving back really fucking slow.
Yeah.
So now again, I it's like, yo. I understand, but you have to also understand the situation. And obviously, they're rolling up, and they only see what they see.
I think the thing is, I have empathy for like the cops who are used to being put in dangerous scenarios. I think where I don't feel bad for these guys specifically is that you're pulling over an NFL football player driving a McLaren. Like those guys are probably not shooting at you. And
absolutely,
you know, like.
But remember, the guy that I told you, the guy that was sort of dealing with it, I guess the first guy, he didn't know who he was.
No, but it's a McLaren. Like you got to know it's a $500,000 car that you just pulled over. Like it's probably not some guy who's going to fucking shoot at you. And then, and the other part too is like when his teammates pull up, I can't think of the name of the teammate. He's in a Rolls Royce SUV. It's like in a Cullinan. It's like, again, you got to understand, like I know that
Right, and they're by the stadium.
It's by the stadium. It's fucking broad daylight. They're out trying to talk to you. You like it's like common sense at some point has to take over. And I think that the one cop does try to do that. And he goes like, bro, just get in the car, drive off, like let us deal with this. And then the other guy's like, no, fuck that. I now have asked to see his license, so he has to. Which again, in the state of Florida, like once they ask for you to be identified and you get pulled over, like it's law. Like you have to then identify yourself. So like I understand what that guy's doing, but it's also he's doing it from an ego trip.
Correct.
The other guy's like, yo, just like go, and then he's just like, no, fuck that. Like now I want to see his license. I'm gonna give him a ticket. And to your point about the ticket, he's probably like, a ticket, like fuck you, bro. Like I don't care about a ticket. But now again, the egos are getting in the way. The low emotional IQ is taking over. The fucking like now, and again, everyone in it is in the wrong because they're just like no one in that scenario was smart enough to just be like, how do I diffuse this? How do I because Tyreek Hill could have just easily been like, yo, here's my license. My bad. Yes, I was speeding. Give me my ticket. Let's keep it moving. Right? Like he should have done that. The cop on the other side should have been like, yo, man, you kind of being an asshole. Like, here's the thing. I'm going to write you a ticket, whatever, go for it. Like, what is your point as the cop? Like, you're going to arrest him for what? And then, because again, now you're going, I think as a cop, you're frustrated that you can't do more because he is being an asshole.
Right.
And your only line of defense is to be like, well, I can pull you out of the car. And it's like, okay, cute. Like, just write me the ticket.
That was the second guy. He was there from the beginning, but he's not even the guy who approached the car.
Yeah, and if you're the cop, you're pissed off because you're like, my hands are tied. Like, I don't have much to do here other than the fact that, like, I can, there's a stretch here where I can arrest you for failure to comply.
Right.
But it's a stretch, right? And so then you're just stuck with this guy's being an asshole. I don't like it. You're kind of making me feel inferior to you.
It's ego, bro.
It's ego. That's what I'm saying. The whole thing is ego on both sides. Bro. And so, like, and in that, they're both, like, in the wrong in the whole scenario. Like, it's just... To me, I'm glad Tyreek Hill came out afterwards and was like, yeah, I probably could have handled that better. It's like, no, bro. You could have handled that way better than you did because it shouldn't have been an issue in the first place on both ends. Like, if you're the cop, you should be embarrassed that that's how you handled that scenario when that tapes out. And if you're Tyreek Hill, like, you should be embarrassed about how you handled that, bro. Just shut the fuck up, get your license over, take your ticket for speeding, and then just keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
It was just bad on both sides.
Yes,
but I think
he could have just said so much less.
I think it also calls into, dude, most people's initial, I should say initial, most people's only introduction or interaction or whatever with law enforcement is generally a traffic stop, right? And so then it makes you think about, like, should that be like a different function for a different, like, should that be a thing that there's only specific people who do that? Like, I don't know. I know highway patrol is sort of like that, but, like, should it only be to a caliber of people who are trained in a very specific thing and they only do that? And I know, like, again, sometimes the routine traffic stops lead to, like, bigger things, or you catch, like, people who are sort of guilty of other crimes. But it seems to me that, like, if the way that most of us interact with law enforcement happens to be traffic stops, then there needs to be a better way on both sides for those things to sort of, like, take place. Like, we've talked about this, I think maybe back in the George Floyd days, where it's like, why aren't these things handled more through, like, traffic cams and AI and that, instead of a person having to deal? Because also, as a cop, you got to be sick of fucking dealing with people all day. And I don't know if that guy's at the end of his shift or at the beginning or whatever. Again, the human element in this is so it's like disregarded in a lot of cases, because you do feel bad for these guys. It's like, this is like one of the few jobs in the world where you leave and you're not guaranteed to come back, right? And so it's like, you have to understand that the nerves are on edge. Some of these guys are like, they're scared. Just like the rest of us. Yeah. They're anxious, they're nervous, they're, all of the above. And then you have to think about how you react when you're scared, how you react when you're anxious, how you react when you're nervous, how you react when you're unsure, how you react when, because I can tell you, for me, it's like, I got, kids at home or whatever. If I'm leaving and every interaction I'm going, I want to see my kids tonight, bro. So it's always you before me.
Yeah,
like, right. You
can't blame them.
You can't blame them, right? And so, like, I just think that we should keep, I don't know, and I don't know what the answer is, right? Like, I'm not fucking smart enough to know what that is, but there's got to be a better way to deal with these fucking routine traffic stops. Because the other part is there's like 17 cops sitting on that same fucking corner which is the other thing that stood out to me is like there's like 7 cops on motorcycles on that one section who happened to pull him over. It's like, why does they take that many of you guys in front of an NFL stadium in traffic, you know, in the lane that clearly turns into the stadium for the player parking? Like, why? Like, it just seems like a very...
But I don't think there were 7 that initially pulled him over. I think that more came, and then again, like, obviously once you pull somebody over, and I don't know police protocol, but I've seen enough to where I know that when somebody pulls them over, they always call for backup, right? And so they gotta get backup initially, and then as the other NFL players come through, it's like, hey, now there's more people here.
But when it was just Tyreek Hill, there's a lot of them. And so to me, it's like...
Well, remember, his guys pulled up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, like, we pulled over a guy in a tank top in a McLaren who clearly doesn't have a weapon on him that you can see, like, we already, you know, like, to take that many of you guys, then...
Yeah, no. And I don't disagree with that.
It's like, yeah.
But this is my other thing on this, bro, which I'm glad you mentioned. Since the whole George Floyd thing, right? The whole defund the police shit and all of that. It's like, I feel like both society and the police are more on edge because it almost seems like society doesn't respect the police department as much.
For sure.
And then therefore it makes them more on edge.
Yeah, and I think my interactions with police obviously influence sort of my response or my initial like reaction to this stuff like that, because I've had plenty of shitty and I've had good interactions with police officers too, but I've had plenty of shitty ones to know, like, yeah, like I can see how these things sort of escalate quickly.
You're right.
And like, yeah, you said, like, I think since the George Floyd thing, we've all just been on edge. Like, I think, you know, the whole just lack of empathy on both sides would go a long way. And I also think too, like, we just need to do a better job of, as civilians, of not being fucking Tyreek Hill and actually just complying. You don't have to, like, if you disagree, bro, your time in court is later on.
Right.
And then that's when you can do it. Like, just comply. And then you deal with it later on in court if you don't agree with something. It's like that scenario.
Because your first like your goal should be to get out of there safely and get home. Just like the police officer.
Right. And
like,
that is not the time, I think, to fight anybody on. I just think emotions are high, adrenaline's high. That is not the moment to prove a point and to that stuff. And I think that's where, like, I've had shitty interactions with police officers, but like the cooler head always prevails of like, I'm not going to win this scenario, right?
That's
like,
right.
I'm not going to win this no matter what.
Yes, if you're the civilian,
I'm in a
disadvantage. You're in
every
a
time.
losing situation here, man. Whether or not they get disciplined on the back end is irrelevant.
Right.
At that moment.
Yeah, if you lose your life, the discipline is irrelevant.
That's right.
Bro. Yeah.
That's right.
And to be fair, if it ends up where you do end up losing your life, you get shot. Not that you deserved it, but you have to understand that you're dealing with people who are used to dealing with the low lives of society. And so the assumption and the nerves and everything else that comes with that, it's always going to lean
be
towards
ready for everything.
Exactly, bro. Man. And so like you can empathize with that. And I think that's sort of what we lack is like,
bro.
is like you have to put yourself in a scenario of like what these guys deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then with someone like Tyreek Hill, who's like clearly comes off ignorant, doesn't have the emotional IQ either, doesn't have like, maybe there's the ego or the arrogance or the money or whatever it is like, doesn't feel like I don't want to say he's above the law, because it's almost like, no, you're above common courtesy at that standpoint. It's like, like you would never do that to a person of like, where you just sort of put up your window and it's just like, fuck you, you know, like it's just like, just having the courtesy to just go, just do this, comply. If you have beef with this, fight it later. If you're him, you have the resources, you have whatever. Right. If you do disagree, and if you don't, if you were speeding, like you were speeding, like just deal with the consequences of that. But I think, again, we're just so shitty at checking our emotions in the moment, and you're dealing with like two people who are clearly not good at that, right? Like, because there are cops in that scenario who I think tried hard to
you can definitely see the cooler heads.
Yeah. Who are just like, bro, like think, but then the hothead of the bunch, right? Like the hothead. And again, we all know those guys. And then and then we all know, again, the cops who love what they do and chose that job because they truly like that, but also have the nerves and are humans and are anxious and are nervous and are scared. Because, bro, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how much you fucking are the adrenaline junkie. I don't care how much you like conflict. I don't care. Like, being a fucking police officer and going into a scenario where you don't know what the other person is dealing with is fucking scary, bro. Like, it's like, I don't care how many bar fights you've been in. I don't care how, like, anytime you're dealing with an interaction with a human being and there's going to be a physical conflict involved that you think, it's fucking scary, bro. That doesn't mean that you're not okay with it or you're not willing to deal with it, right? Like, that's why we have sort of bravery or whatever. But, like, it's still fucking scary to deal with people because you're just like, yo, like, I got to...
You just never know what you're dealing with.
I just don't know, right? Like, there's just an unexpected element here that I have to be prepared for, and that's fucking scary to humans. So yeah.
And so, I mean, to me, man, like I said, big thing for me was lesson learned, you know, and just it was a good example of to show my kids of this is how you don't deal.
What they think of it? What was their sort of reaction or?
That's a great question, man. They didn't really have much to say. I think I had the most to say.
Okay.
Which was just like, see, guys, this is why we tell you what we tell you. Like, you need to be, even if you're in the right and they're in the wrong, in that situation, just like them, like, you want to get home. So you need to just be respectful in the moment. And if shit is fucked up or twisted, we'll deal with that shit later.
When you can stay alive.
That's right. But in the moment, you just be respectful. You do what they tell you to do in the moment. We get you out of there, and then we'll deal with the consequences or whatever afterwards.
Dude, I remember I was in a scenario. Again, I've had good interactions with cops and a lot of shitty ones. But there was one as a teen that where I had a cop pull a gun on me, and it was like the first time where I was like, oh fuck. And this is before, like, obviously we had social media and everybody posting videos and all that, so none of that was in my head yet, right? But there was a friend of mine who was with me who just kept, like, I'm sitting outside of the car, and he from inside of the car kept saying, don't do anything, man, I don't want to die. And it was weird because, like, again, we don't have.
He was telling you that?
He was telling me that. Hey, don't don't
you're
make sudden movements.
Or outside?
I'm outside. I had been called outside of the car,
Gotcha.
and I had my hands up, and he's basically like pleading with me, like, Juan, don't make any sudden movements. Like, I don't want to die. Like,
gotcha.
And because the cop was so, like, just fucking bonkers. Like, again, clearly,
did he have backup at that point?
It was a she.
And it's a woman. Okay.
She eventually got backup, but didn't.
But at that point, she did not.
At this point, she didn't. And
she's scared.
Had to be. Yeah. And again, as an adult looking back on it, you know, I was like, you know, again, I don't know what kind of day she had. I don't know if she's new. I don't know if I wasn't a big kid. I was a scrawny kid, so I can't imagine that she feels overpowered by me, but I was bigger than her.
4 or 5 kids in the car?
No,
teenage boys?
2. Me and my friend, who was probably my height, maybe taller at that time. So again, but she doesn't know. She doesn't see him. She just sees 2 males, right? And she doesn't know how old I am. She doesn't know, you know, whatever. Like, so I go, okay, I can sort of empathize and go, like, you know, I could see where she's scared. Did she handle it the best? No. And it showed by, like, you know, when the backup showed up, they were just kind of like, bro, go home. Like, you know, and it was one of those scenarios. But until that happened, it was fucking scary because I'm like, yo, this lady's going to shoot me because she looked so nervous that, like,
oh, wow.
And like I'm complying with all her commands.
Right.
And even, like, and how I'm moving towards her, it's like, turn this way. It's like this way. Like, are you sure? And she's just fucking freaking out. And my friend's like, bro, don't do anything. I don't want to die. Like, and he's just like yelling at you. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro. And I think he's at the point where he's like crying. And bro, but I just remember at that time.
Never taking that guy out again.
Oh my God, bro. I'll tell you who it is off air. This motherfucker. You know who I'm talking about. I'm sure you listen. But at that time, I was, and you know me, as much of a smart mouth as I am and all that shit, like, and I was a smart mouth back then. At that time, I was even smart enough to go, shut the fuck up, deal with this. I remember specifically looking at her badge number and memorizing it and going, like, okay, I want to get that. Like, you know, I feel like I'm going to need that later on. And, you know, and just dealing with whatever and just going, I just want to get out of this to where I don't get fucking shot or arrested and at that time, I don't think I'm thinking I'm going to get shot because, again, like, it's not, we're not like at that point in time. The big thing was like Rodney King getting beat down. Like I'm not thinking like the cops are going to shoot me. Like we don't have social media, we don't have YouTube, we don't have like at that time. I'm just going like, man, she's a fucking mean ass cop. I don't think she's going to pull the trigger, right? Like I'm just thinking like, man, she's grumpy. I don't know what the fuck she's going to do. Maybe at worst I'm going to jail today, and I don't even know why, right? Like whatever. And so the scenario plays out and the whole shit, and I just sort of do anything I can to get out of there. When her backup arrived, you know, the guy was just like, guys, just go home, you know, like, and I remember her even questioning me on the car that I was driving. She's like, whose car is it? And I'm like, it's my mom's. Like, I'm driving my mom's like Honda Civic. And she's just like, I think at one point she just yelled at me like, don't lie, I better not find out it's stolen. And I even tell her like, it's registered to, and I tell her my mom's name, and I tell her the address, and I tell her stuff. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're looking at your fucking computer right now and you know that I'm telling you the truth.
Right.
And she was just getting more and more hostile.
Agitated, huh?
It was insane. But I say that to say like, that for a long time shaped sort of how I thought about cops and the I guess the immediate reaction when I got pulled over of the, oh fuck, like here I go, you know, like because it wasn't the first time a cop pulled a gun on me. It wasn't the last time a cop pulled a gun on me. And in every scenario I always thought, and again, I don't know from their perspective what it looks like, but I know what I'm doing, and I'm going, I don't have anything. I'm not a threat. I fucking weigh 130 pounds. Like I'm a scrawny kid. You know, it's just like, I don't really get what's going on here, but like, damn, you know, like this is wild. And as an adult, I've thought back and you know, gone like, okay, you know, these, I don't know what kind of day they were having. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know. You know, like for all I know, that lady has dealt with guys who've like shot at her on a fucking routine traffic stop or or maybe it was her first week on the job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You have no
like,
idea.
I just didn't think about it at that time because I'm fucking 16, right? So like, but
Moral of the story is fucking live to tell the story the next day.
I think the thing that gives me a little bit of peace is that I have a daughter. And this seems to happen less to girls, so I feel more comfortable. You know, like I'm not nervous about that.
Right, and you would think that because girls are sort of, or at least perceived as less of a threat.
Yeah, I am nervous about my son.
Yeah,
like he's not there yet, but I am nervous because of how he interacts with people. I mean, you've met my son plenty of time. It's how his sort of aloofness is going to get taken, right? And you laugh because you know, his disposition towards things is like. I have thought about that of like, fuck, I'm gonna have to, like,
he's very matter of fact.
Yes, and so it's like, man, I'm gonna have to like almost train him, quote unquote, to like, hey, this is how you need to respond in these scenarios, and then it's like, well, why? And and I'm gonna have to give him the breakdown of like, these guys are dealing with people who are normally bad. You're not, but they are, and so their first reaction. Is
that you're another bad guy,
fight, right? Yeah, it's just like and they're gonna, so it's like, how do you train them to do that? And to your point, it's like, hey, comply, put your hands up, do the stuff, like let me deal with it. Like if you're a teen, I'll deal with that problem later. Take all the stuff, comply, do your whole thing. Like we'll deal with that after it comes, and then hopefully you're a smart enough adult to know. Just do this and then deal with everything.
And like I told you, man, I got two sons that are about my height, and both of them have a lot of hair. One of them has dreadlocks down to the halfway down his back. Yeah, it's just like those guys. That first impression.
Yeah.
It
for right, wrong, or indifferent, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. And so they need to. I encourage them. Like you guys need to do what you can to keep the situation de-escalated.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that I know he's calling for that guy to get fired or whatever. I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. Like I mean, listen, if that guy should get fired, then what should happen to you?
I think,
you know what I mean. Like,
I think where I go to is that where do you stop? Because that guy, there's a lot of guys like him in the police force, and it's just like, do you want him to get fired or do you want him to learn? Like, and do you want him to get better at doing his job? If that's a guy that really wants to be a police officer and he wants to do that, like, is your goal to embarrass him or is your goal to like make him a better police officer? Right? Like, I always lean towards like you should take the route of like, let's make him a better police officer. Yep. So I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily think he should get fired, but and hopefully that's not the case. I think hopefully it's something they can both learn from, right? Hopefully that guy watches the tape and takes the Tyreek Hill route where he just goes like, yeah, I probably could have handled that better. Right. Hopefully that guy's watching that tape going, And maybe not, because again, we both know cops who will go, no, fuck you, comply. Like if you would have just done what I told you in the first place, and maybe that comes from a place of ego, but it also comes from a place of fear, and some it also comes from a place of anxiousness, whatever, you know. So like,
and like I said, he's not wrong.
No,
you know what? Leave your window rolled down. If you just rolled it down, it'd have been fine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Again, it's just that there's so many sort of like
it's just so nuanced and
different things that occurred there where you go like, no, you be quiet. No, like you
that's
don't
not
do
the way
this.
to
And
respond.
Right.
Yeah, it's just,
All right, man. Let's dude. Next thing, presidential debate, man.
Before we start the president, I want to point this out, bro. Whenever I text you and I go, bro, you gotta watch. And it's normally like fucking Formula One. I'll make you watch some IndyCar shit.
Yep.
You know, it might be the Daytona 500. Some sports, it's usually fire. Whenever you fucking text me to turn on my TV, it's women's basketball, fucking presidential debate. I just can't think. I was watching the debate and I was like, why does Sean hate me? I was like, I feel like he's trolling me. I was like, whenever you go, so and such and such is on TV right now, I go, he's fucking with me, right?
I was laughing because you go like, yeah, I know it's on. I'm on the fence.
I go, yeah, but I wanted to see if the WNBA had any good games on.
And see, man. I'd be like, listen, I got to watch women's basketball, so that's good enough. Dude. So first of all, man, I'm sure many of you watch this. ABC, I thought they did a good job of moderating it. However, I did see that they basically asked all the questions that were sort of a negative from sort of like the left's standpoint on Donald Trump. So like the January 6th stuff, the abortion stuff. Did they even touch on the immigration? I feel like they didn't.
I think they didn't, but it was almost like
he kept bringing it up.
He kept bringing it up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ran out of time or they just didn't get to.
They ain't ran out of time.
Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, to your point, did seem to be like an agenda there. The other part of me was that self-inflicted? But also the questions were fair. I think the flip side to that is like the questions were fair, but then you should have found equally as hard things on Kamala to sort of like grip her on because she has a long enough sort of public service record for you to sort of find things and push her on those.
Dude, you could have
maybe not as historic, I guess, is the
you could have even
argument.
pushed her on things that Biden had either
sure.
put in place or screwed up on, right? Because you go like, like you were there, you're kind of the second in command, so whatever he did, like you signed off on.
But bro, gut reaction, you're a voter in the middle, you watch that.
If I had never seen, let's say I had never seen those two candidates, Kamala absolutely comes off as, I guess, more sort of presidential, right?
Yeah.
Trump, man, and I feel like when Trump was in office, I think he had some good policies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But Trump, the person, is like
he's hard to like. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just have a problem with Trump, the person.
He's not even hard. Yes, he's hard to like, but also he was entertaining at one point in time. I think is that he was hard to like, but he was also funny. I don't even know that he was hard to like. I think he was easy to like for like the average person, where you just went, nah, I know people like that who make jokes like that, who are kind of ignorant.
But dude, I used to watch The Apprentice.
Yeah,
I didn't necessarily like him.
No, the show.
I thought he was an asshole.
He was an asshole, but also, it made it entertaining.
But not for nothing, bro. I watch shit with like Gordon Ramsay.
Yes,
he's a fucking asshole. But you know what?
He's an asshole.
He's a fucking great. He's a fucking great chef, right?
Yeah.
And Trump at the time, you go like, yo, like. He's an asshole, but fuck, man, the guy's a great businessman.
By the way, we assume he's a great chef, and none of us have tried to do it. You know what I mean? Like, we assume he's a great chef because he's an asshole. Man, when I found myself yesterday going like, man, if I'm disappointed on both sides, I mean, for one, Kamala cooked them. And that's not necessarily an endorsement.
It wasn't really
of Kamala. It's just if you're going to have an intellectual conversation that is centered around politics, the seasoned politician who's a trained prosecutor and all that is going to win that. Like you should. Like, right? Like if you're her,
I don't care if you got Robert Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard. No one's training you.
No one's. Yeah. Like you're gonna smoke the person who doesn't have experience doing that, and right. But I think where I was like, I don't know if disappointed is the right word or whatever, but like the Trump thing, I'm like, man, you're not even. He was at least entertaining before with the name calling and the blurting out and stuff. But like a lot of times yesterday, I found myself like just annoyed by a lot of his shit because it would be like, he's like, oh, the people in Springfield are eating the immigrants are eating dogs and cats and people's pets, and everybody's looking at him like, the fuck are you talking about? And I think they even fact-checked him.
Them quick.
And they went,
I would go like,
the mayor of Springfield just said they never fucking heard of anybody. There's no reports of that in the entire city of anybody eating a fucking pet.
Dude, how the fuck did they get that so fast?
Bro, because I think it's really easy to go, Mayor of Springfield, has anybody eating a fucking cat at? But he goes, well, that's what I read somewhere. And so it's like, oh, that's ignorant as fuck. That's what you expect from like your hillbilly friend to say some shit like that. Was like, well, I read that. Or that's what you expect from like your old relative who's like on Facebook, who's like, no, they said Bill Gates put fucking, trackers in the pill. And you're like, no, but like, seriously, give me like a source that says that. It's like, and he's just like, I think he's just so used to getting away with saying outlandish shit and people just taking it at face value. Whereas when you're looking at him going like a couple of times he like mentioned like her like fucking murdering babies or whatever, and you're just like, okay, bro, like I know that you're saying that because it's a sexy like outlandish thing to say, and people are like, oh my god, she wants to murder babies. But then when they dispute it, and she's just like, well, and she gives them sort of like a factual response. His counter response is to just go, you want to murder babies? It's just like he's just yelling louder, and you're like,
right.
Oh, you're not. It's not even funny anymore. Like now I'm annoyed. It's just sad. And then I'm looking at her going like, the whole thing. I'm like, this is the best we can come up with in general. Like, so now I'm fucking sad about that shit. And then I was cursing you out the whole time. Like, I can't believe I'm fucking watching this. It's like,
I'll tell you what, man. I didn't get anything even from her. Like, I didn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. She talks to you like a pimp, like every politician.
Right. There's a three things that she talked about. She talked about giving businesses like
the $50,000.
The tax relief for the middle class for like people that have kids, right?
Yep.
And then there was the home, like the $25,000 like home credit.
Yep.
Which I think all of those are probably bad ideas. Other than maybe the child tax credit, I could see. The other two, I think, are bad ideas.
But I will go. She had ideas and she had like policy. Whereas when they asked him, like, "What are you gonna do?" He's like, "I got concepts of ideas, but they're not fleshed." And it's just like, bro, you were president for 4 fucking years. You're gonna tell me you don't have? And he would, like even when he's just like, Obamacare is terrible, and you're like, okay, and they're like, well, what would you replace it with? Well, we got ideas, but we don't know them yet.
Yeah, but
we got ideas. And I'm just like,
I felt like he answered that question because what's funny? I was watching it with my wife and she said the same thing, and I was like, no, he kind of answered it because he basically said.
But the answer was, we didn't come up with anything better than Obamacare.
Yes.
Yes.
No, that's what he said.
So you can't say Obamacare is trash, but then go, I didn't come up with anything better than Obamacare.
He goes, I'm not gonna touch it unless we come up with something better.
Correct, but then.
But I'm gonna make it.
On the flip side, can you say
better?
It's trash and I'm gonna make it better? But then you go right to your point. I go, you answered it, but in your answer, you're going, we couldn't come up with a better idea, and so I'm not gonna replace it unless something's better and cheaper. Which you go, yeah, that's the fucking hard part about creating policy, bro. Is that it's hard to do it cheap.
Yeah,
it's hard to make it better. And so you're saying it's fucking terrible, but you're also saying I don't have a better idea. So how is it fucking terrible if I don't have it? It's just like, okay, true. Like how do you knock that if you can't think of a better way?
And Obama has said that plenty of times where he goes,
it's not perfect.
It's not perfect. He goes, but I put it out there to everybody, and nobody had a better plan.
No better how to be.
And I wasn't gonna go out without putting something in place.
And I don't think it's a perfect plan, right? Like as a fucking civilian, like as a person who's looking at that going, this is not perfect. I don't know what the answer is. Like, yeah. I just don't know what the answer is. But I go, but it's better than what we had before.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like, I don't know how you make this better. And even he's like, I don't know how you make this better. And I had some really smart people. And he goes like, and we threw out a lot of ideas. None of them were better. None of them were cheaper. And it's just like, okay, so then how are you still harping on a national stage that Obamacare fucking sucks? And then you go, but I couldn't come up with a better solution. So it's just like you sound fucking stupid when you say that. And I think the thing that bothered me the most for both of them was that like they just kept pandering to their base. Like, or actually you could tell was sort of reaching out for the middle a little bit more. I think
she was reaching out, yeah.
For sure. But he was just like, she wants to take away your guns and all this shit. And I'm going, bro, those guys are voting for you already. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not losing those guys. You're not losing.
And not for nothing. I thought that was brilliant on her part to go like,
I own guns.
She goes, me and
VP. Right. And then he goes, you want to take away people's guns. And then her rebuttal was like, actually, I own a bunch of guns and so does Tim.
And
like,
we're not doing that.
And then he just keeps going, you want to take away everybody's guns. It's like, bro, but she just told you that she wasn't. So like, then the best thing you can come up with, not on November 5th of blah, 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 you give a speech and you said, right. Like, explain that. No, it's, you want to, it's like the yelling, and it's just like, bro, the people who are already into you, who are blindly following you for whatever, or who vote right no matter what, you got those. Just like her. It's like, yo, the people who blindly follow left and who are voting left, you got those too. It's like, you guys are fighting for the people in the middle. And I just thought it was really weird that he just kept pandering to like that. And I'm going, you already have that vote, bro. You could set a baby on fire on this stage right now. And I go, and the people who are voting for you before this election or for this debate are still going to vote for you. Like the people who vote right are going to go, maybe that baby was fucking colicky and it was really annoying. And I'm like, you could set that baby on fire on the stage and they were still going to vote for you.
Maybe it was a QAnon.
Yeah, exactly. So I just found it really bizarre that he was still like pandering to that. It's like, bro, who you're fighting for is like me. And then same thing with her. I go, with her, I just got that icky, like, and again, I knew I would get this. I wasn't surprised, but I think I was just disappointed by the whole thing because I'm like, man, he's not entertaining. She's a pimp. Like, she talks to you like every politician does, which is like, hey, you're beautiful, and they're stroking your hair fucking by your forehead. And it's like, hey, let me take care of you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
Unfortunately, it's like politics is, it's a public servant position, but it's almost like you need a really good CEO that actually gives a fuck about people.
Right.
And that's hard to find.
And I think that the one thing I got out of this was that before I watched this, I was with my kids yesterday. We were in the car, and I don't know how it came up, but the whole fact that there was a debate came up, and both of them asked, like whatever, the Kamala's running, Trump's running, and then they sort of just asked me like, so who are we voting for, or who should we vote for?
Okay.
And it was a good thing to have a conversation because I was just kind of like, I don't know. And then, and then we went down the rabbit hole, and it's just like, okay, so those are our two choices. And I go, actually, no, we have a lot of other choices, but the two choices that are going to win is going to be one of those two.
Right.
And so we sort of had to get that. And I think even for me, like being able to talk through like her, it was just like, well, what do people like or dislike about her? And then so I'm like, I don't really know. Like, here are the things that I know of.
Right.
It's like, but we kind of have to do our own research. And then with him, it's like, here's what we know of. Here's what we did. Here's what he did when we actually had the job. Here's like, and here's the things that people are squeamish about. Like, whatever, same thing. And it was cool because they were both kind of just like, huh. Like, yeah, that's we have to make a decision off of that. And even they were kind of just like, I don't know.
That sucks.
That sucks. Yeah. And it was just like, well, those aren't your only choices. It's just that those are the only two choices you have that actually have a chance at winning. Like, there's all these other people, in the mix, but like they're not going to win.
Yeah. And if you want to vote for one of them, you really have to go.
Yeah. And then it was just like, well, why not? And then, you have that conversation, and it was interesting. And I remember like looking at my daughter just going like, well, and I thought I would say that never were a non-Republican or a Democrat win an election. I go, but I actually feel like your generation or maybe his, I'm like, you guys might change that. I'm like, I think that there's enough with the internet and everything else. Yeah. I'm like, there's enough like sort of movement now. I think Donald Trump was the first person to prove that because he isn't a real Republican. Right. Yeah. I think
many of them don't.
And he's a celebrity, right? I go, like, he was the first person to really prove like an outsider can sort of step in and win this thing, right? He just had to attach himself to a party. And then again, because we're sort of tribal, we just go, oh, he's fucking red team, like vote for him. Like,
right.
And like he was kind of like the guy that sort of broke that mold. And dude, I also think we should kind of fucking thank him in the sense of like, he also showed that we really don't care who you are as a human being. We don't care how many baby mamas you got. We don't care. Like remember how politicians had to be clean cut before and they had to be, hey, you had to talk a certain way.
He broke that mold.
He broke that mold, bro. I don't want to hear that anymore. Like he broke, it was like, oh, I have too many skeletons in my closet. I can't run for office. Bro, we don't care. Like, this guy's paying off porn stars. He's fucking, his lawyers are doing shit. He's convicted of felons. He's got multiple baby mamas. He's like, bro, no, like, we don't care. Like, and like he sort of
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know that it's. I think overall it's a good thing, just from the perspective of there isn't such thing as a perfect human being, and so you no longer need to pretend to be that. I think, what I always think about, man, and maybe this is an oversimplification. You remember in 8 Mile, in the end of the movie, when fucking Eminem basically goes in on, like, here's all the shit you're gonna talk about me. I am white, I am trailer trash, I am, he goes on all this bad shit, and then basically goes like, okay, now what? And then the guy has nothing to say about him. I think that's sort of the door that this opens up of this, which is just like, if you're a politician, if you're somebody who does care, or you want to run, you're gonna go, yeah, bro, I've been married 3 times, and yeah, bro, I've had this, and okay, cool, but this is the policy I want to run on. Like, what now? I think being able to sort of freely come out without being afraid that, like, because how many politicians do we know, man, we're like on a run, and then they're like, oh, they have a secret family on the side, or they got some chick pregnant when they were 20, and then they're done, right? Like, they're toast. I think you just got rid of that, and then you go, man, that guy or girl would have otherwise been good, but that one thing sort of destroyed them, and it could be any type of scandal. I think what that does is it opens sort of the window for more people where they're just not as afraid, because they're going to be like, well, I wore blackface in fucking college at a frat party. And it's just like, if you just come out and go, yeah, man, I wore blackface at a fucking college party, I think, like, it was kind of acceptable back then. I was drunk and we weren't sensitive. Like, my bad. Like, I realize how fucked up it looks now. Anyway, I'd like to fucking build a dam in your town. You know what I mean? Like I think it's one of the I think the positive things we've gotten out of that presidency is that, like, we've shown we really don't care. And when we do care, it's because either you're not on our team, right? Red team or blue team, or because we're racist. Like, I think it's just one or the other. Like, because I think race plays a very important factor in that, right? Because I think Barack Obama wouldn't have gotten the same pass with 3 baby mamas. Barack Obama wouldn't have gotten the same pass with paying off a stripper. Barack Obama wouldn't have got, I think that is what it is. None of this stuff would have passed. So I think what Donald sort of laid out for us was like, hey, we kind of don't care. Like, maybe it's refreshing to actually see a guy who's like, oh, you're kind of like us, right? Maybe not normal, but you're normal in the sense of like, you're not perfect, and all of us can relate to that. We can all relate to not being perfect human being.
Yeah, man. I was hoping to see or to hear from him some of his policy stuff. Like, I wish, even though I do feel like ABC really zeroed in on things that were sort of at least perceived as negative, right? So, like, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the January 6th, the insurrection, right? Like, I wish he would have, like, I feel like he could have answered those things and then talk about what his plans are.
Yeah.
I wish he could have done that, but he got so... And
he just got so caught up in the name calling.
Yes, bro.
Dude, and she trolled him and baited him, and he fell for it every time.
Every fucking time.
And that's why I was like, wow, man, normally you're on your toes about this. Yeah, and I could see her, and you could see the grin on her face where she starts talking, and you're like, oh, you're goading him into
every time, bro.
A thing. And he fell for it every time. And I went, man, is that the age thing? Is that...
no, he's pretty sharp for being, 78?
No, for sure. But
pretty fucking sharp.
But he is almost 80, right? So you go, like, we can't discount the fact that he's almost 80. And we've only seen him on stage with other people who are fucking 80 or,
Plus.
70. And then, right? And so you got Kamala of, like, what, mid-50s, late 50s?
Late 50s, I believe.
Smart, sort of hold her own. And Kamala is normally super shitty on the spot. Kamala, when she has a response to something that she has time to sort of think about, has been great. When you catch her off guard, like, whoever fucking prepared her for this did a good job, because I think they sort of had her almost use his strengths against him, which was like, there was something that she did, I think it was at the beginning, where she was kind of like, I invite you guys to go to a Trump rally. And she started talking about a Trump rally.
Yeah, she did.
And even he, like, perks up, like, yeah, come to my rally. And then just fucking proceeds to, like, destroy. And he didn't have, like, a good comeback for it, other than, like, your mama. You know what I mean? Like it kind of turned into, like, a playground thing where you were just like, oh, wow, she trolled him and she baited him into that. And he fell for it. He went, right for it. And then his response, whenever he got back into a corner, was like, well, fucking immigrants are killing everybody and they're eating our dogs. And you're just like, what?
Biden actually hates her.
Yeah. And
Did you hear that part?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, bro. I mean, that shit with the abortions, where he was just like, they're having abortions at 7, 8, 9 months, and sometimes they're having the babies and they're executing them.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's called the school shooting.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing? What is he talking about, bro?
It's like, what? Yeah, and he just and then when they would check him, he would be like, well, that's what I read somewhere. And you're like, you sound like my old relative who reads shit on Facebook, who was like, well, I heard that the Earth is flat, and that any day now we're gonna find out that that's the truth. And you're just like, bro,
the best line for me was he goes, "We have a president that doesn't know he's alive."
Yeah, that was funny as fuck. That part was. They didn't even lie. But I go, that's not who you're.
That's not who you're going against.
That's not who you're going against, bro. And
I think at that point he was just losing it. Like
and
you
can tell again. He's just saying shit because, and that's where I was disappointed. I go, now he's just saying shit out of desperation,
right?
And it's not funny anymore. It's not entertaining. It's not. It's like, man, at least be that.
Oh, I was still laughing.
I think. See, I was just annoyed, and then I went, oh, it just proved to me that like, okay, either A, you really weren't prepared to go against anybody other than Biden, and now that you have to go up, against her, it's like, and again, this isn't an endorsement of Kamala, but it's just more of a, you're dealing with someone who you weren't prepared to deal with, who's like smarter than you in this stage.
Yeah.
Not overall, I don't know that, right? But in this stage, in this realm, you're in her fucking wheelhouse, right? And so like, she sort of can run circles around you in terms of that, but also he seems like a less motivated and enthusiastic Trump than we've seen him in the past. And I don't know if that's the age. I don't know if that's him getting shot at. I don't know if that's like, he just seemed disinterested. And I always thought the first go, he didn't want to win this. He sort of did it to prove a point, and sort of the ego got the best of him or whatever. Because I just maintain that if you're someone like him, like why do you want this job? And so and I know there's conspiracy theories that think like, oh, maybe the CIA scared him straight into this whole like, murder attempt, whatever. I also think there's a human element that goes, I almost died for this. Does it mean that much to me?
Right.
Am I willing to die for this? And the answer has to be fuck no, right? If you're him, right? Like, and so because he's pulled way back. There's no more, I'm gonna drain the swamp. There's no more, like fucking all her friends are partying with Epstein and they're fucking babies. Remember before he would go in on the whole, like, this whole system is corrupt and yada, 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 yada.
Yep.
Dude, he's been fucking crickets on any of that. It's been like, immigrants are murdering our people and we need to build a wall, which I'm like, you talked about this fucking 8 years ago, bro. We get it. You don't like fucking Mexicans. And then it's just like... It's like the rhetoric is old and outdated and it's not entertaining, and then I'm just like, but I also find myself going, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't very possibly win, and then you go, but if you're looking at these two people on a stage and you have no idea what party they belong to, you have no idea thing, but you're just looking at intellectuals, you go, how is she not, like, she has to win, right?
She has to win, right?
But that's not the system we live in, right?
No,
like,
it's really not.
It's just.
Here's one interesting thing that I saw, man. So there was a top 10 Google searches for election issues in the U.S.
Ooh.
Most of these were not even discussed.
Of course they're not.
Last night, right?
Where were they?
Number 1, Social Security.
Oh, so concerned about Social Security being around?
Didn't touch it.
Okay.
Number 2, crime, healthcare, unemployment, the economy, immigration, abortion, voter registration, minimum wage, and inflation.
Oh,
They did touch on a few of those.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised, man, that
immigration is what number on there?
Number 6.
Oh, not a top 5 concern.
Not top
Americans.
5.
And that's probably all the people in El Paso or whatever down fucking Texas. Like,
yeah. Yes, I don't know, man. Dude.
I don't even know, bro. You know what's funny, man, is like I honestly don't know who I'd vote for in terms of like, I'm sad that these are my 2 options. And then the other part of me is like, I don't want to vote. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm starting to buy into the whole, this is already predetermined anyway. And sort of like the deep state or whatever the fuck you want to call it have already decided who's running this. And if I was a betting man, I'd have to be like, it's Kamala because they're not going to let him sort of get in there again. But I'm like, fuck. We didn't think he'd win the first time, and he did.
That's right.
And every poll showed you he was way down, and every conventional wisdom told you that there was no way, and like it's just like, nah, I just don't know. And I think that is what sort of keeps us on our toes and entertained by the whole thing, is that we don't know. Humans are unpredictable. Also, a lot of us are just tired of being talked to like, again, like Kamala talks to you like a pimp, and that was icky. Like the whole, like, the politician, like when they ask her a question and she's like immediately looking for where the camera is and she's staring into the camera, and it's just like that media training of like that, and then she immediately finds a talking point that she knows you're gonna relate to. She's like the grandmother and the school teacher and the electrician, and and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
You gotta read a emotional string. There's emotional strings, bro.
Yeah, and it's very like fucking psychology 101 and PR 101 and politics 101, and so like you get that with her, almost to the point where you can predict the response if you just give yourself like 10 seconds. If you just go, question, pause. Here's how Kamala's going to react to that, because here's how the book says you should respond to that. Right. She's going to give you that response. And I go, that's icky. Like, it's weird because it's disingenuous. It's like, it's very robotic. It's a politician who talks to you like a pimp talks to you, right? Like, just do this thing for me. And, like, you're so pretty and I believe in you. And, we're going to make a lot of money together. It's just like, that's how she talks to you. And then he's kind of just like, I know he's an asshole. Yeah. I know he's full of shit. I know he's just making up stuff as he goes along. I know, and at one point in time, he used to be like, at least it's funny and it's entertaining, and he's not wrong. He's just shitty at articulating it. And now I'm just going, bro, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about anymore. Like, so the whole thing is just.
I think it left me in a place where, like I said, I was before, where I just go like, okay, who's the third party candidate that mostly fits what I would like.
Yeah.
Because I think that there needs to be a third party in place, at least one other party in place. And so maybe I'm part of that movement of where I just vote for somebody else, just to sort of get the numbers up and let people know that there's enough of us that are kind of tired of the red versus blue.
Can you write your own name in?
I think, you can write whatever you want.
You're right, because in the writing, I'm pretty sure I've written my name in the thing before. You're probably not wrong. I'm trying to think if it was for president or for a local spot. I'm almost positive I've written it.
Dude, how we doing on time?
We're way over an hour. We're an hour 6 now.
Holy shit.
Dude, it flies by, man.
God damn it.
We know, yeah.
All right, do we want to do Paralympics?
Bro, this should be the real Olympics moving forward. The Paralympics is the most entertaining shit ever. Yo, they make the most mundane fucking sport.
I fucking love it, bro.
It's amazing. I don't know. I think we should ignore you got all 4 limbs. Fuck you. Not impressive. We should be.
You got that Tink Tink song?
Yeah. Bro, the back paper clips, as Cat Williams would call it, bro. That shit is so fucking great. Yo, I want to watch divers and swimmers that can drown. Like if
I want to watch swimmers that look like
I
fish.
want swimmers that look like me, fucking in a rip current. Like, bro, these guys are fucking struggling. I go, that shit's impressive. The fact,
I forgot about the swimmers, bro. I seen the guy no arms,
nothing,
and he's got his feet are fucking sideways.
Yeah, bro, he's in that bitch swimming all shoulders and thighs, just fucking doing the Dougie through the fucking water, bro. It was amazing. I was like, bro, this should be the real Olympics. You got all your limbs, and then the motherfucker that won the 100-meter dash is like not that much slower than the guy that won it with the regular people. And he had the palsy. I'm not buying it, bro.
I didn't. So are they? So here's the thing that I have to get more into it, because I'm going like, I've seen several races, and I go, some of them are blind, and some of them have other ailments. That when they interview them, they seem normal, but maybe they have some ailment that I'm not sure of.
It's supposed to be grouped by similar, because I had the same thing, because I was watching it and I was going, well, that's not fair. They're missing an arm, but they got both their legs. Like, why are they racing? But evidently, it is grouped by similar disability.
Okay.
So, like, if
so the 100-meter dash could be the blind 100-meter dash.
Correct.
The guys with autism 100-meter dash. Is that even a thing?
Bro, I want to see blind, like, dodgeball in the Olympics, or fucking, like, blind, like, skeet shooting, or fucking.
That guy's amazing. That guy. he fucking sees, like, the Matrix.
Yeah. fucking blind archery, bro. But the target is each other. Bro, on some, yeah. Oh man.
Did you see the fucking the sitting volleyball?
No.
So I'm watching. It's volleyball.
It's already more impressive than regular volleyball.
So everybody's on the floor. Everybody's sitting, right? So I'm assuming, very much like the track and field, the folks that are paralyzed from the waist down.
Yeah.
Right. And
wait,
so
there's track and field with people that are paralyzed. I didn't see this. What are they doing?
they got the bikes.
Oh, okay.
They got the bikes. So like their legs are like
their
legs are like useless. So they fucking stick them in the thing, and they fucking.
So like the dogs that they give them the thing when they don't have their hind legs. Oh fuck, man. I don't mean to call y'all dogs. I'm just trying to create okay, I got it.
Gotta create the visual.
I just gotta create the visual. Yeah.
So no. So I'm watching this thing, and it's sitting volleyball. So they're all sitting on the floor and they're hitting the ball over the fucking net, whatever, right? Then they call a timeout. They all stand up and walk to the sideline.
Wait, what?
They all stand up. Yeah. So they all can walk.
They just playing.
What's the fucking point?
So they can all stand up, but they choose to sit during the. I thought it's like some volleyball duck goose shit where they're just, bro. And everything is more exciting. Like when you know they're not capable. Like I saw little people fucking pickleball.
Oh, I saw that.
And pickleball is like the stupidest sport ever. But when you see little people do it, you're like, all right, I get it. It's just fun. They're fucking diving on routine ass plays.
It should only be for them.
It should only be little people.
It's like watching Asians play ping pong.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. It's a perfect example. When you watch Asian, where you're like, I get it. Because you know, like paddle sports are only like done by people who are unathletic. And then paddleball is one of those where like people who are 65 are playing against 18-year-olds, which tells me all I need to know about the sport, right? Like it requires zero fucking athletic ability. And it's so popular right now where I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Like this someone unathletic invented this so that they can feel like they're doing something.
Yeah, and the people that I know that play pickleball, not
athletic. Yeah, of course. Same, bro.
None of them.
Same. Everybody I know who tries to talk me into pickleball, I'm like, no, I can still shoot a jumper. I'm good. I'm like, I can catch a ball. I am great. Like pickleball is like, I feel like what bocce ball used to be for like, or like shuffleboard.
What the fuck is bocce ball?
I don't fucking know. The thing with the heavy ass ball. Let's go with shuffleboard. Yo, blind shot put would be fucking amazing. And you don't tell them where the crowd is. You just be like, bro, just fucking launch it. Whoever hits the most interesting target wins. Bro, that shit would be amazing. But Paralympics should be the fucking Olympics, bro. It's bullshit to me if you have all your limbs and you ride a horse. I don't give a fuck. I want to see you ride a horse with no legs and you're just holding onto the reins by your neck and shoulder. Like, that shit is impressive to me. Do some shit I can't do, bro. Yo, the girl who won, who was the breakdancer for the fucking Australia, who was wild, she should have been in the Paralympics and it would have been believable. We would have been like, nah, bro, get that bitch to go. The way she was seizuring on the fucking floor. Like, nah, I get it.
Like, yeah.
Maybe she performed at the wrong one. I don't know. But this should be, the Paralympics should be where it's at. And they still do it in Paris, right? It's like in the same city.
Oh, yeah.
Same. Bro, it's amazing. I was watching swimmers who didn't have limbs and who were like fucking borderline drowning, trying to get to.
I was like, how the fuck do you get your head out of there to breathe?
When they dive, I go, oh, dope trick, and then I'm like, oh my god, get to the top. I'm like, I need that level of fucking care and intensity where I'm worried for your safety for real. Like that's what we need. Damn it! Is there such thing as a winter Paralympics? Or do we only do this in the summer?
It's got to. There has to be winter.
Imagine somebody skiing or fucking snowboarding. You no limbs. You just strap them to the fucking snowboard belly first, like on it. Oh, bro, it'd be amazing. I'm watching that shit. Oh my god, yo, shout out to the Paralympians, bro. That shit is got to be. It's so much harder, bro. Dude, also. At one point, dude, like the fucking countries that we've been blowing up for the last few years get really good at this shit because we suck at it. So clearly, we need our tards need to step their game up, and then our people who don't have all their limbs because we were like last time I checked.
What's the medal count?
It was really fucking sad the last time I checked. Like we definitely weren't doing much with it, and China oddly was still killing, and I'm going like what, but. I don't know. I guess if the option is like, yo, you got to keep sewing more shit at Fashion Nova, or you get to go fucking do volleyball sitting on the ground. I don't know. I don't know how you motivate these people.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh well, we're top 3. So
are we? Okay, we weren't even. We were in the 5th, I think, last time.
But it looks like so China has 220.
Okay.
Great Britain has 124, and the U.S. is 105.
Damn, that's a big difference, bro.
Yeah. Like
so how do the Chinese
more than double?
Okay, but I wonder what
it's the population, bro.
No, but what's the leading disability of all their gold medalists is what I want to know.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
If it's like blindness, it's like they're used to seeing through smaller spaces. They might have
they got an advantage. Are they really blind, or are they
just
are the slits are the slits smaller?
Are they just sleepy?
Oh man, we're fired. We're fired tomorrow. And on that, tell them where they can find us.
At the Carbon Podcast on IG, YouTube, Facebook, at Carbon FP Pod on TikTok, and X. Actually, it's at Carbon Food Podcast on TikTok, and then at Carbon FP Pod on X, and then all your favorite audio platforms: Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts. Leave us a review on those, by the way, and Spotify and Audible. The reviews actually make a big difference in sort of pushing us up on the algorithm. So leave us a review. Even if you tell us we fucking suck, just leave a review in there somewhere. If you don't like the fact that we made fun of your legless, brother or whatever competing in the Paralympics, like we get it. Leave a comment. All attention is good attention. Yeah. And send us some drink ideas too, man. We're always open to trying out new shit, whatever.
Absolutely,
stuff is, man.
And I'm gonna leave you out with this. And this is not a quote. Just I'm reading a book, and I saw this thing, and I go like, I gotta remember this for the podcast. Have the courage to live the life you desire.
Goddamn right, man. That shit is something everybody should take, man.
Absolutely.
It hits harder if you fucking really think about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.